Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome. So, I have a very uh, important, interesting topic for you today, which I have been practicing for maybe um, since 1997, probably. Ever since I have my own corporation and understanding the corporate culture and being in the high tech, I had preview of that, and I kind of over the years developed a course called Servant Leadership in Corporations. There's one of the petals of my lotus of BAPAL. I told you about personal, professional, and also what do we do with the systems, companies, corporations, like that, right? So I was always focusing on that. So I was going to tell you there are so many questions like intelligences, right? We have, IQ, EQ, and SQ, all that, right? IQ is body has intelligence. We call that a body quotient. Mind has the intelligence that we call spiritual normal IQ, and then emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, and then we have the spiritual quotient. That is the um, thing that I'm going to address here, because it's not about any particular religious thing. It's about what a human being as a spiritual being. That means how you are inside. You're kind, compassionate, considerate, that kind of spirit, right? So I always wanted to focus on that, and how I provide my own leadership to people, the organizations that had been running for years and years, right? And also, what did I do with the leaders who approached me for some kind of advice and then got the training in the servant leadership. That means not being servile, but more like a providing service, whatever you do as a service, right? So this talk is spiritual intelligence in corporate leadership, in this, especially in the leadership of anything. This is more like a conscious, ethical, purpose-driven organizational leadership. That's what we want to create, right? So that's what we are hoping for, and I want to really understand that, okay, and also provide you what do I mean by spiritual intelligence. See, spiritual intelligence is the capacity to lead from a place of deep awareness rather than reactive ego. We kind of allow kids to develop and young people to develop ego without really realize the consequences down the line, right? It's about making decisions rooted in the purpose instead of external pressure. So, cultivating a wisdom that transcends conventional management paradigms. So, this is a big deal. Okay? This intelligence draws from ancient wisdom traditions, all the ancient wisdom traditions, while remaining entirely practical for modern organizational life. See? So, it's not about religion, it's about consciousness, clarity, and connection. Okay, that is what I mean by spiritual intelligence, right? And as we look at, it makes more sense as you go into the practicality of this and running the organizations that are really kind and compassionate and connected, right? So, um, see, why does this matter now? See, the modern workplace is really experiencing an unprecedented crisis of consciousness. Okay, burnout rates have reached epidemic levels, with employees across industries reporting exhaustion, cynicism, and diminished sense of accomplishment. That's what I see all the time. Burnout doctors, burnout nurses, burnout so many entrepreneurs, right? So the trust in leadership, see, is continuing to decline. as workers seek authentic connection and meaningful purpose. They're not finding that in there, right? So that is something that you want to really focus on. Let's see, Dallas is coming up. Let me break it here and they'll come back to that again. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Dallas. How are you?
I like the information you're talking about, sir. Spiritual intelligence,
Yeah.
corporate
Yeah.
leadership. That's all, man. You just knowledge, huh?
Yeah, but you're breaking up, Dallas. I can't hear you very well. You are in matrix. You want to hang up and try again? Because I can't hear you at all.
I can.
Yeah, you are in the matrix.
Matrix. So I got to cut.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all because you are, kind of in that confusion. So, well, the connection is not good. Maybe Dallas will try again. We'll see. Okay. So, meanwhile, let me start the top. See, this trust in leadership is going so low. Workers are really seeking for authentic connection and meaningful purpose, right? So that is what we are really seeing in so many ways. That's not really helping people to, even though they are talented, they have a lot of skills. They've spent a lot of time in the developing these technological skills. They don't have that authentic connection to rest of the people, and thereby they're getting stressed out, burned out. That's when they seek somebody like me and who had been working on this for years, right? So many of them are seeking meaning and also purpose in their work. Okay, they lost that. Okay, so 76% employee burnout. That is what we see. They feel, they report feeling emotionally drained, exhausted. Okay, and 58% of them, they have the deficit of trust. If they don't trust their organizational leadership, and then turnover has become 3 times over. Say higher among people who are disengaged. Those employees that are disengaged with the real purpose of the organization or societal direction, they get really um, dissatisfied with the working conditions, with the way they are going about it. Okay, so these organizations, they desperately need a new paradigm, one that honors the whole human being and leads with consciousness. So spiritual teachers offers this path forward. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so as you look at this, as you understand the practicality of what is happening to our organizations, corporations, hospitals, then you'll understand how valuable this would be, because it's not happening because you are with some medication, something externally done. You are basically learning some things, understanding some things, and then change your mindset, change your way of perspective of the society and all that. Okay, so I'm going to go by a few principles that guide me, that may be helpful for you too. For me, the first principle is presence. Presence based leadership. That means you have a calm mind, the power of a calm mind. So when leaders cultivate this presence through mindful practices, they create space between the stimulus and response. This pause allows for clear, wise decision making rather than reactive choices driven by stress or fear or ego. So, presence based leadership, they create a psychological safety within teams. When employees sense their leaders' groundedness and calm confidence, They feel secure enough to take risks, share ideas, and bring their full selves to the work, not something what they want to see. So the ripple effect of this presence-based leadership is reduced organizational anxiety, improved decision quality, and enhanced team creativity and stronger interpersonal trust. Okay, so think about that. That's a presence. Are you in the present or not is the most important. Most of the people are lost either in the past or in the future. But bringing yourself to the what you are doing in the present moment is very important, right? So I talk about this to death every day. Anyway, everybody, my friends know me that I always talk about being in the present. Okay, so that's the first principle. Now the second principle is uh, let me say, I'll put it in order. Okay. Um, okay. Purpose. Purpose as a strategy. First one is presence, that is based on that. And then second one is a purpose. What is the strategic direction? What is the North Star for all decisions? Okay. And then what is the culture foundation? What is the shared purpose in the culture of the company that is unifying all our diverse teams, right? And then, is there innovation driving here? Because that's the purpose. Or is there a retention magnet? People stay where they find meaning. So if you have a purpose in the you are doing that, then people, and also are they able to allow you to create a stakeholder confidence, trust builder. Okay, these are the ways of the purpose isn't a poster on the wall. It is the living, breathing reason that your organization exists. This is the purpose why they are existing. So when purpose becomes the strategy, not to make money, not to just have some name, there are side effects. But when you make your purpose in the work that you are doing, that becomes your strategy. That becomes a strategy of leadership that you provide. Every action aligns with deeper meaning. It creates unstoppable momentum. Okay, think about that. Second thing is purpose as a strategy. Okay, and then you go to the next principle. See, next principle is communication. See, if you are conscious in your communication truthfully, gently, it goes a long way, right? That we all know. But do the leaders listening to the employees or people working under him with spacious awareness? So they are not putting that you have to speak this way, you have to express this way, but they are giving you room to listen to you. They don't have to follow up all that, but at least they made time and awareness to sit there and listen to you. So that kind of communication, so you just listen without really responding anything right away. Okay. So, and also after you listen, you speak kindly. That involves choosing words that honor the dignity while remaining truthful. So the result of this is dramatically reduced conflict, improved collaboration, and relationships built on genuine understanding rather than transactional exchanges. I want this, that's why I'm going to be nice to him, I will smile at him. No, truthful. That's the third one. Okay, first one is the presence based leadership, second one is purpose, third one is conscious communication, right? And then emotional equanimity is the fourth principle, where you are moving from automatic reaction to conscious response. That is transforming your leadership presence. Okay, leaders who embody calm confidence even amid uncertainty, they become anchors for their teams. Teams look for the leadership, right? So the practice is develop inner steadiness to meet challenges with the grace and with the modeling emotional regulation that kind of acts as a ripple throughout the entire organization. They have a leader that is calm inside and then really emotionally calm. They really become very good. Okay. So that is about emotional equality, which is the fourth principle of mine. Okay. And now we're going to go into the other one. Okay. This has been my practice for years and years. So that's why I want to compile them in an order that people can. And principle 5 is my personal favorite, the selfless excellence. You see, this is about coming from yoga. This is called karma yoga. So I put it like a karma yoga in business. So see, ancient yogic wisdom teaches us that true excellence comes from selfless action, doing our best work without attachment or to personal glory or recognition. This principle, when applied to organization life, transforms competition into contribution, cooperation, right? So leaders who practice selfless excellence don't compromise on the excellence of work, only the fruits you don't want it. That is karma yoga. So when you practice selfless excellence, you focus on elevating others' success alongside your own and contributing value without constant craving for recognition and making decisions for collective good. That is what is missing in the culture, collective good. Okay, and building legacy beyond individual achievement. What is my BFL company is doing now? It is promoting wellness. I want this principle of wellness continuing as a legacy even after me. So this kind of selfless action really shifts organizational energy from zero sum, right? Zero sum thinking to abundance mindset, where everyone's success contributes to the whole. Okay, so I really am very fond of this principle, and I make sure that I'm doing that all the time, right? And the last 6 and 7 are okay how we do our ethics and how we interconnect with people. So ethical systems, integrity isn't a department; it is woven into every process. You cannot say I will take advantage of one particular part and make the car look good. No. So all the way from hiring people and you assess character alongside the competence, and then to evaluating the systems that you employ that reward ethical behavior. And also you have the frameworks that are decision making frameworks that consider impact to all on all stakeholders. Okay, when ethics become systemic, they become sustainable. Company culture will breed that. Okay, and then seventh is interconnection. How much you are connected. So it's like expanding your identity. So from the journey of thinking I to we, or to all. So that journey from I to we to all, that represent an evolution in consciousness, right? We're all one. Leaders who recognize this interconnectedness, that their decisions affect ecosystem far beyond their immediate circle, right? They naturally act with greater wisdom and care. This expanded identity drives ethical action not from obligation, but from genuine understanding. Okay, that is what we promote. Okay, and as we understand these principles, you will see the organizational impact. Okay, when you have spiritual intelligence practiced or that permeates an organization, the transformation is profound and measurable. You can measure it too. Companies that embrace these principles that I described, the 7 of them, they consistently outperform peers across a multiple dimensions. higher creativity, 47%. Psychological safety unlocks that innovation. So they become higher creative, right? And then 62% really is the result you see from increased trust. So transparent, positive, and leadership that builds confidence. So performance goes up. And then you retain people better. 38% will be meaningful work and they want to reduce the turnover. They want to stay there because they are not looking only for the economic compensation, but also looking for satisfaction, purpose driven, or other. And then generally greater well-being happening because conscious culture supports whole person well, not just the body, but the mind, but the emotions and the spiritual too. So beyond metrics, this spiritual intelligence, especially organizations who are practicing, those organizations become magnets for top talent, trusted partners in their communities, and force the positive change, okay, in the world. And they prove that consciousness and commercial success aren't just compatible, they're synergistic. They work on each other. Okay, so that is what you want to understand, right? So there are metrics that you can see how it affects the organizations when you practice this kind of thing. Okay, so think about that. And this is a not a that easy subject, but understanding may be easy, but practicing it is not there. People are reactive, people are stressed, people are worried about the monetary thing and all that. So at my company, what I designed was a proactive wellness leadership. Okay. What I want to bridge is ancient wisdom and modern organizational development, bringing in practical tools for cultivating spiritual intelligence in corporate settings. So that I work around that. My approach is integrating mindfulness, ethical frameworks, and consciousness based leadership practices into everyday business operations. Okay. So we help organization when they consult us to develop these presence based leadership capabilities and also align purpose with the strategy and the culture of their corporation and build ethical systems that sustain integrity and also create psychologically safe, high performing teams. And we transform from reactive to conscious organizations. Okay. What I believe is the future belongs to organizations that lead with awareness, ethics, and interconnection. So let's build that future together is my motto that I tell to companies. Okay. So anybody has any questions? I just made it very brief because each principle we can go at depth and talk about it at length. But that's not the idea. The idea is to um, really, inspire you to really get in touch with kind of this kind of thing if you um, don't have that within you. Otherwise, if you have that, that's very good. Okay. So anybody wants to come up and tell me, do you have any ideas about this and do you have any uh, concerns about this or any lack of clarity, anything like that? Okay. So this is a good topic, but when I deal with the organizations, all those principles really come into light, and also many people kind of act like, "Oh, I never thought like this," or they kind of get over their ego and reactive based dealings to this responsive from a higher conscious being. That they will struggle for a while because the rest of the culture is like that, and they find this very like a oasis. But once they understand, they will find a lot of these principles are important for them. It's not something we're putting into them. They will realize, I want to stand for truth. I want to stand for harmony. I want to stand for ethical living. All that. Okay. Many of the people feel like that, and then they look at this more closely. What I do is I kind of make them examine whether they are living to these principles by themselves, without any force, without any threat from the corporations, And the more they understand, the more they see the value of the purpose and meaning in life from all these principles. They are living, and they feel very good about themselves. So not a egotistical way, but more like satisfied human being. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you today. So, Cecilia, did you find this useful? If you are available, come up and talk to me. How you find this? I'm calling on her because I know her. I kind of see that she does her rooms, and I go and try to talk with her. That's why I'm calling her. But that's okay. But she's traveling or she's busy with something, that's fine. Okay. Otherwise, I like to see what kind of impact this kind of spiritual intelligence is making in your life. So after all, we are human beings, are spiritual beings. Okay, that's what I think. We are going through the experience of the human being, but essentially we have the inner spirit that guides us, right? And then that's the way I approach. We are spiritual beings going through human experience. But if you say I'm a human being, not elevated yet, I have to elevate myself to a spiritual level, then you're missing out on something that's already there in you, and which is really important for us to realize and then establish in that spiritual inner being. Okay, that's my view, how I view the life. Okay, not necessarily you have to agree with me, but I'm telling you how I view it. Okay, in that spiritual sense, we know we are all in the same spiritual being energy, the life force that is within us. Okay, so that's why it's very easy for me to relate to the being from being level rather than body and mind and other things. So there the division comes. We can identify, oh, I'm a different body, different mind, different set of values and all. No, your inner being is the main thing that is always there, and we are all at that level, at the being level, or there is one being only. So that kind of allows me not to be differential or separate you with anybody. Okay, and that inclusive energy really works for me. Okay, so I don't want to go on prolonging on the philosophy of it, but think about bringing our spiritual being for corporate life and provide the leadership from these principles I told you: presence, purpose, communications, or all those. Okay, 7 principles I talked about. Think about that and then try to apply at least some of them, and also really work on them in your private corner. Okay, not to impress anybody, but just to see whether you are applying them in your life, daily life. Okay. So I will be talking to you about this topic on and off, because it is not that easy to get these principles, especially in a leadership role. You got to change yourself and let the change be seen by other people. What did Gandhi say? Try to be the change you want to see yourself. So first change yourself, and then let the change blossom out from within you. So that's the best way. Then you'll be authentic, you'll be trusted, and you will be believed, and then people will sense that perfume of helpfulness, kindness, comparison, more like a energy that comes out because you're accepting them, right? So all that they will feel from your own inner being. Okay, it's not about becoming; it is really realizing our being, and then let it shine through. Okay. Thank you, and I will be talking about these different topics as and when I come upon here. And only certain things I can do on time, but rest of them I just do whenever I have time. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.